on duty and no one robs a bank because I don't feel like dealing with that shit.
We don't have to respond.
All right, so make sure you're recording all your trainings. Just in general, just record anytime you're on duty. Blah blah blah. I'm gonna try and breeze through this stuff as much as I can. I know some people, Luke. I know you were CG at one point. Justin, I believe I heard you say that you used to be SD. Jason and Johnny, I don't know if either of you have been in a law enforcement faction or not.
I used to be. I used to be in SD before the tsunami, but I need to forget all of those things because it's the tsunami. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So, if you have your Cadet Hub open and go to Cadet Links, go to the Day 2 section, and we're going to look at the penal code. Here we got the penal code up.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm not going to read all this on the front of the penal code, all the general terminology. You guys just go over this. Some of it you should probably already know. Definitions of different firearms and identification, statute of limitations, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, most things already know, yeah.
All right, so penal code, if we go over to felony offenses, one thing that you need to keep in mind whenever you're charging people or just using the penal code in general, there are enhancements that can be used inside the penal code. Enhancements are going to be located all the way to the right. If you are looking at the very first one under the felony tab, first degree felonies, section 1, attempted murder, if you look at your enhancements, you'll see the example where the offense is raised to a capital offense if the following is met, committed by or against a member of any of the factions, whether they're on or off duty, retaliation against a witness, informant, or person reporting a crime. So if someone shoots at us, FIMS, FIFER, CG, DOJ, it goes from a first degree felony, attempted murder, goes up to a capital, which is different punishment. Be sure that whenever you are going through and putting charges on people, you're mindful of that. Check for enhancements because situations, depending on how they go down, people that are involved, changes how the charges are filed on a person or which charges are filed on a person. Anyone have any questions about enhancements?
Nope.
Alrighty.
Pretty
Penal
clear.
code color system. On the left side of the penal code, you will see there are two columns, a witnesses only and a plea bargain offered. If either one of those is red, it means you cannot use them. If you go all the way down to Class 3 firearms or ammunition, which is Section 13 under first degree felonies, you can see that both of them are green, which means you can use a witness statement to go after and charge someone for that possession of a Class 3 felony or firearm. Assuming that you find it on them and everything, you can use a witness to go ahead and start that investigation. And you can also offer a plea deal. Most of the time, if you offer a plea deals are going to be, I believe it's 30% off time and fine for plea deals. I believe is as much you can go on that. Judges, I think, can offer whatever they want to, but that's on them, not us. Capital offenses can never be given plea deals. For misdemeanor offenses, ordinance violations, traffic offenses, suspects can be offered a plea deal and use witnesses for most of those types of charges as evidence. We're not going to go through the entirety of the penal code just because it's way too much for us to sit here and talk about. We'll be here for the rest of the afternoon. And, I don't know about you guys, but I don't have all afternoon to sit here and talk about the penal code. So just make sure you go through on your own time, familiarize yourself with the penal code because it'll help you in the future being able to get your paperwork done faster, knowing what you're going to charge a person with, and just overall get the arraignment and processing done faster. Any questions in particular about the penal code, color code system enhancements, anything like that?
No.
So, reasonable suspicion. Penal code defines reasonable suspicion as when an officer reasonably suspects a person or persons have been, is, or is about to engage in criminal activity. Depends on the totality of circumstances and can result from a combination of particular facts, even if each is individually innocuous. So it could be a multitude of different things, such as Twitter message can't be used as reasonable suspicion by itself, but say you see someone in Twitter talking about they, I don't know, ask a question in regular Twitter or even in Darknet, if you can figure out who it is in Darknet, about processing a certain drug or something like that, and then you end up pulling that person over later for a traffic infraction. Well, if you're able to connect it, that the person in the car was the one that asked the question in Darknet or in Twitter, then you could reasonably suspect that they may have a drug on them. Call a K9 out, get a K9 to do just a quick search around the truck, and if the K9 hits, then you've got probable cause to pull them out and search them and see if they have any drugs or contraband. As soon as the officer loses reasonable suspicion that the suspect was involved in a crime, they must let the suspect go. You can't just hold them indefinitely. Reasonable suspicion is enough to detain a suspect and get their ID. Let's do this. All right, so if you guys are able to look on me while I have my hands up, you should see a frisk option. You guys able to see that?
Yes.
I see pat down.
I see frisk.
If you scroll, you should see frisk.
Well, only LEOs can do that, so that probably helps that I'm not signed on.
Okay, well, yeah, that'll do it too. But
if you
all right, so frisk is just a basic little quick pat down for someone that has their hands up, and all frisk is going to do is identify whether or not they have a weapon on them, or you feel a weapon on the person.
And there is a 30% off a fail frisk, so the frisk thinks that he or she has a weapon, but does not.
It increases the smaller the firearm.
Yeah. So, again, officers can frisk someone if they have reasonable suspicion that the suspect has a weapon. And if you're only operating off a reasonable suspicion, then a frisk is all you can do. You cannot do a full pat down.
Unless you've felt a weapon or something, right?
If you feel a weapon, then yeah, you can go ahead and try and you can identify whether or not they have a license. And then yeah, you can go from there.
Yeah, so that's why first as ID, if you see CCP on there, and then frisk them and you feel weapon, then it's okay, or do you still are able to?
Only if you have reasonable suspicion that they were involved in a crime involving a firearm. You can. I mean, if you get their ID and they have a CCP, and you know they consent to a frisk, and you know you see a CCP on them. You can ask them if they consent to a full search, but they don't really have to, just because if they're a CCP holder and they're obviously not carrying a class 2 or 3 on their back, then kind of starts getting into a gray area for going from reasonable suspicion to probable cause.
Mm-hmm.
But it also depends on the totality of the circumstances surrounding the situation. So,
Yeah.
all right. Probable cause is defined as reasonable belief based on facts that can be articulated that a particular person has committed a crime, especially to justify making search or pressing charges. With probable cause, officers can do everything that they can with reasonable suspicion, plus arrest subjects, search their vehicle, or get warrants. This is going to be anything from having shots fired off in a particular area, and you got someone standing next to a dead body with looks like they're putting a gun away, or they have evidence of shooting nearby. You can go and process that along with GSR to get probable cause to go file a search warrant. If you're chasing someone and you know that that person is the owner of the vehicle that you were chasing, you have evidence that it was them in it, you can file for arrest warrants. If you're a K9 and you get a hit on a person or a vehicle, and that gives you probable cause to be able to search the vehicle, search the person to find whatever the contraband is, press charges, arrest them. There's a multitude of different ways to get probable cause. Big one would be search warrants. Being able to identify different types of contraband and see them in a certain way to where you can prove to a judge that, yes, this person has this in their house or this in their warehouse. Be able to get a search warrant and to go seize all those objects and then arrest them for whatever it is that you find. All right. CCP law. Does everyone here have a CCP?
I do.
Do not.
Do not. Okay.
Not a civilian.
But I know the law.
Yeah, I have a security company as well, so on that side I am fully updated.
All right. So if you guys open the CCP law up. With the CCP law, you guys need to just be aware of the big portions of the law as far as who can carry what kind of firearm and where. For us, we have no limitations on where we can carry our firearms on or off duty. Off duty, we're limited to how many magazines we can carry on us, just not as limited as civilians are. Even off duty, we can still carry pretty much anywhere we want to. Band 1 license holders, LEOs, can carry open carry. Band 2 civilians, FIFR, DOJ can never open carry. It must be concealed in their clothes. Even if they have it in their holster and they don't have a holster where it's visible, that's still technically open carry. They can't do that. It has not been a big of a problem recently, but DOJ used to have a pretty big issue of them open carrying. They don't really do it anymore. Just kind of crack down on that, but that's just one group of people to keep an eye on is DOJ, because for some reason used to really struggle with the comprehending that they can't open carry for some odd reason.
So
if you guys
arrest a DOJ guy if they're open carrying or something.
I mean, yes, you can because it's illegal, but it causes a real causes a big struggle because judges sometimes feel like they can kind of do what they want to because they're a judge. But,
Microphone muted.
yes, technically, if a judge breaks a law, you can fine them or arrest them for it. if you do end up having to deal with a judge in that kind of sense, just get someone else with you to help you. So just that way, everything's well documented with body cams and everything, because it'll eventually come down to faction commands having to get together and have an argument over
User
stuff.
joined your channel. User joined your channel.
If you're arresting someone and they do have a CCP, some of the things that you need to know about is we are able to file for license revocations, especially with CCPs and SFPs. Some big things that you're going to do, some big reasons that you'll file for someone's CCP to be taken are going to be if they're charged for any capital offense, they're charged for any first or second degree felony offense, a third degree felony committed with misuse of a firearm, or misdemeanor committed with misuse of a firearm. Besides that, just make sure you guys go over the CCP law in your own time. Make sure you're familiar with it for what you know people can and cannot do, what you can and cannot do. And if you ever feel like that you need to revoke someone's CCP and you have a question about it, just ask another person that's on duty, and you can just read through the CCP revocation form, and it's pretty straightforward for what it's going to ask you as far as details and evidence. Any questions on CCPs?
No.
All right. Other DOJ licenses. We can file for people to have their FIBAs removed. It has changed within the recent, last month or so. And it's basically any misuse of their FIBA in court or court proceedings, or if they get multiple contempts of court. Other than that, people don't really get their FIBAs removed for breaking of major crimes anymore. Security firearms permit is the same as removing a CCP. Just general rule of thumb, if you're going to file for someone's CCP to get removed, you might as well file for the SFP as well, because you have to have a CCP to get an SFP. So it only makes sense.
You don't have to have a CCP, right?
To get an SFP, you have to have a CCP.
Well, I didn't have to, plus I asked it because of the company I have for security and stuff like that, so.
Well, then someone messed up on that one then.
Oh. I'll check it again.
Unless they have changed it more recently, the way it was is that you had to have a CCP to get an SFP, because
I mean, the SFP only allows you to carry around a taser, so why do you need a CCP? CCP is just like, and you cannot even carry it like open carry.
No, you can't. But if you're dealing with if you're in a security position and for some reason you're dealing with someone on the property or that's presenting a security risk to whatever contract you're dealing with, and they have a lethal firearm, then you're kind of screwed having just a taser.
True.
But gambling licenses, I don't know why this is in here, because I don't even think gambling licenses are still a thing anymore.
No, they're not.
So I'm not even gonna go over that. So yeah, really, it's only FIBAs, CCPs, and SFPs. So it's all pretty much still the same as far as the forms are all pretty much in the same format. It'll tell you what they need as far as details on the situation, the person, and evidence that you need to give to it. All right, so next one we're going to go over is going to be trial requests. Everybody know where trial requests are on the DOJ section of the forms?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if you get over to trial request, and then there's that nice little request to trial button. If mine will load, there we go. All right. Just make sure whenever you do submit a trial request, you use that form that they have. I don't even think you can. You can't even just make a regular old post on there anymore. They need to update this shit. When filling out a trial request, officers must show the court there is enough evidence to prove that a suspect is guilty beyond reasonable doubt. In any trial request or ticket request, officer must show proof of the crime. So your GoPro screenshots, if screenshots are useful in it, to give evidence. Identify the suspect within the rules of the general law and the precedents in case law, and link the suspect's identity to the crime. If a trial request, subpoena, or investigation is ongoing with a suspect, then no evidence from all parties involved shall be removed or deleted unless dismissed in court. So you start a trial request, all your evidence has to stay available on whatever platform you use to post it until the trial is dismissed or dealt with. Trial request page is pretty self-explanatory. It's going to ask for the defendant's name, time and date of the incident, the officers that were involved, any witnesses that were involved, charges that you're going after, description of events, and evidence. A lot of times, if you have any questions about this, if you're doing an arraignment on island, the judge, you can ask him directly. He can walk you through it. If judge isn't available, just get an officer or a deputy that's higher in rank or that's been serving a little bit longer than you, and they'll be able to answer your questions. But it's pretty straightforward to put a trial request in. All right, so prior arraignments. An arraignment is when a suspect is asked if they would plead innocent or guilty to charges. When arresting a suspect, the arresting officer is required to inform the suspect of all charges that they're being accused with at the earliest time known. Suspect must be told all charges they're being accused of before the arraignment begins. Suspects should already have heard their charges 2 times before they plead innocent or guilty. This must be done, or the charges will be thrown out in court as part of the Fishers Island Constitution Amendment, Article 10. So, if best thing to do is if you get someone in custody and you're going to charge them with something, do finish up whatever you have at the scene, get IDs, search them, read them their rights, all that nice stuff. And then bring them back here. Or if you know, just immediately right off the top of the head, the charges that you're going after, you can see if a judge is available to do your arraignment. But get all your paperwork in order, have your list of charges ready to go, tell them that, and then take them for arraignment, and then give the judge the charges, and then the judge will do the reading of the charges and ask if they plead guilty or not guilty. If they hear it for the first time coming out of the judge's mouth, then any smart person that knows what they're doing will immediately ask for the case to be dismissed upon their Article 10 rights being violated, and the judge will throw it out immediately and they'll walk free. And it's a pretty comical thing to see happen. I've seen it happen to Coast Guard more than once.
But that's Coast Guard,
Definitely
not
was
us.
not the one you witnessed.
No, you definitely were not the one I witnessed. Not at all. But yeah, they'll any person that knows what they're doing, they'll have it thrown out in a heartbeat if you don't tell them their charges before you get to court.
Another
All
thing
right.
to look out for. Pretty sure
Right.
you mentioned it. Make sure you read them their rights before you search them. Otherwise, nothing you
Yeah.
find is valid.
Yeah, if you're putting someone in handcuffs, literally as you put them in handcuffs, read them their rights. Show them their ID card. And just as a good general rule of thumb, if you're not going to be charging a person, don't read that person their rights. Let whoever the officer is that's going to be charging them or prosecuting them read them their rights. Unless, for some reason, that officer, if you're chasing multiple suspects and that officer ran off to chase another one and you're stuck with one, read them their rights before you go any further. And don't pat someone down that you're not prosecuting either, because it's a whole lot easier for whoever the prosecuting officer is to ID the person, read them their rights, pat them down. That way all the evidence stays on that one GoPro and it's not split up between 3 or 4 other GoPros. All right, Miranda warning. You can find this. What's up, Luke?
Oh no, I was just cleaning. Just giving my keyboard a clean as we go through documents.
Oh, okay.
I accidentally hit my one key.
All good, all good. All right, Miranda warning. Suspects must have their Miranda warning read to them before officer asks the suspect to plead innocent or guilty to charges. This must be done or charges will be thrown out in court. Like I said, do this when you put them in handcuffs. I mean, as soon as you start putting the handcuffs on and they can't run off anywhere, read them their rights and then give them their Miranda card. This can be found on the SOPs, and whoever here is still signed on duty. I think, Jason, you said you were. If you want to look around at the other cadets and show them their Miranda card so it pops up in their eyes. And if anyone else is on duty, you can show it to Jason.
I already saw it. Literally
Alright.
like an hour ago.
Gotcha. So that's your Miranda card. Show that to your suspect after you get done reading their Miranda rights. That way you know for a fact that they know what their rights are and they won't be able to contest it. So if the suspect is being taken to the courthouse to plead innocent or guilty, make sure they understand the Miranda warning before the start of the arraignment. Miranda rights, just off the top of my head, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you do or say can be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you if available. And then ask them, with these rights in mind, do they wish to speak to you or if they want a lawyer present under questioning. Okay. Any question about the Miranda warning / rights?
Nope.
Is it so when you said when we book someone that we're not prosecuting, can we pat them down except not take the items and just read the items for the actual prosecuting officer so they know what to expect when they pat them down?
Well, they're gonna pat them down anyway, so that's
Yeah, they're going to pat them down anyway, or at least they should.
came out from extra steps.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
got
it's-
a question. I'm not sure if it exactly ties in.
Go for it.
So obviously you've got like you're arresting someone. Do we detain people? Are we allowed to detain people without arrest, like bringing charges forth? Like for example, on mainland you can detain someone for 24 hours and no charges be brought against them. Do we do that yet?
So you can detain someone if you have the reasonable suspicion or the probable cause. But yes, and even if you do take someone into your custody and quote unquote detain them, there's after a certain amount of time, if you haven't actually given them any charges or arraigned them, then you do have to cut them loose.
It's only about an hour or something, isn't it?
I think it's actually 40 minutes.
All right.
Let's say 35 to be
But-
safe.
Yes, you can detain someone. If you're after a certain suspect and there's multiple other people, in a building or in a car that you just got finished chasing or something like that, and you're not worried about actually charging them, to be on the safe side, you can detain them just to make sure the situation stays under control until you get your suspect, and then deal with your suspect and then cut them loose.
Is someone detaining for further investigation a thing here, or?
If you have the reasonable suspicion, then you can detain someone.
For further investigation, or?
Well,
Just
it'll
that
just have to
reason.
be within like. Hold on, ask your question again.
So, if I detain someone and I say you're being detained for further investigation, is that allowed, yes or no?
Yeah, if
I would-
If you have reasonable
Have a wild
suspicion
guess
that
and
they've
say that
done
just
something.
depends on my reasonable suspicion. You know.
Yeah. It'll all be dependent upon your reasonable suspicion and the totality of the circumstances. If you have reasonable suspicion that someone has done something illegal or they're about to or just committed, then if you have that reasonable suspicion, you can detain them, ID them, frisk them, question them. But as soon as you get to a point to where you no longer have that reasonable suspicion, you have to cut them loose.
Yeah.
All right. Next up is going to be progression procedures. It's going to be link number 7 on the cadet link. Let me go open this up.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So, progression procedure. I'm not going to sit here and go over the entirety of this document because there's just so much here.
You want me to
The
fall asleep,
best thing I can tell you to do is you can check the flow chart all the way down at the bottom. It kind of organizes it into a little bit easier to understand deal instead of reading through all this. Definitely go through this just so you can have a decent understanding of the progression procedure. And the progression procedure actually shortens up a little bit if there's no judges awake to be able to arraign someone. And this also kind of goes over some other things such as applying for bond. I have no earthly idea what the hell bond is. And the only people that I know of that are bond certified are judges. So that's just
We can get bond certified, can't we?
Bounty hunters.
Maybe.
Bounty hunter.
Yeah, it's like it's something what got introduced, but
Bail
the new
bonds.
DOJ hasn't really upheld it
Yeah.
because there was talks about bond certified officers and all that, but no motherfucker actually went and got
Like
bond
bail
certified.
bonds or...
Yeah. I know Dave Boyd, me and him talked about it one time, and he bonded. I've seen him bond one person out, one of my suspects. That was, of course, before he left. But yeah, they've got some whole bond procedure. It's available. But yeah, just read through this to make sure you understand all these definitions and circumstances. Talking about plea deals and everything. Like I said earlier, with plea deals, it's 30% of whatever their time and fine is what you can offer as a plea deal. If a judge is on duty, you have to request them for an arraignment. If a judge is off duty, then you're going to do the arraignment yourself. If the person ends up pleading, you're going to give them their charges before you tell them you're doing the arraignment. And then as soon as you start doing the arraignment, you're going to read off their list of charges again, ask them if they plead guilty, not guilty. They can also plead no contest, which just means they're basically not going to argue with your charges. They're going to get arrested for it. It's going to be the same thing as if they plead guilty. They're just saying that they're not going to argue with you about it. If they plead guilty or no contest when you're arraigning them yourself, then all you have to do is just follow off, add up their time and fine. Max time is 120 months. You can't go over that. You're going to give them their jail sentence and then give them their fine and then put it in the MDT and you'll be done from there. If you're doing it with a judge, you'll go to a courthouse. The judge will call you up, will ask for your name, the defendant's name, what the charges are. And then the judge will walk you through the court process if you have any questions about that.
Or months, minutes, or
go ahead.
seconds?
Months or minutes.
Oh, okay. Damn, I put someone away for 50 minutes. Jesus.
But yeah, 120 months or minutes is max time. If you have anyone that's lower than that, and for whatever reason they can't pay their fine, it's 2 minutes for every $1,000 that they can't pay. Of course, up to a maximum of 120.
User in your channel timed out.
Trial request. If you read through this, you'll see a section on trial requests. They have to be submitted within 48 hours for the evidence to be valid. It gives some disposal methods. Like we said, we talked about bond for a minute. I never see any other judge use that crap. Released on own recognizance is defendant being charged with a Class A misdemeanor or lower. They don't get remanded and put into jail while awaiting their sentence. If they plead guilty, it's one of your disposal methods. Negotiation of a plea deal. So if you give them a plea deal and they plead guilty for a lesser sentence. And yeah, like I said, look at the flow chart all the way at the bottom. It gives you a very good visual view of the steps that you need to take. If judge is available, judge not available, and so on and so forth. Any questions about the progression procedure?
When much?
Nope.
So, you know how do I phrase this? Do you know how you've got if they can't pay the fine,
Mhm.
it adds time on.
Yeah.
Is that only if they can't pay the time, or is that
User
also
joined
if
your
they
channel.
refuse to pay the time?
User left your channel.
That's if they can't pay the fine, I believe.
If they refuse, it goes to asset seizure.
Yeah, I've never had anyone refuse to pay a fine, but yeah, I would say that if they refuse to pay the fine, then it goes to asset seizure.
Okay.
And you'll just have to put in for that. I mean, if you're gonna be giving someone, yeah, I would say asset seizure. That would be kind of strange though, to have someone just refuse to either be found guilty or plead guilty and then just have them refuse to pay the fine.
Yeah.
User
All right,
joined your channel.
we're gonna go over some precedents and case law. So it's gonna be link number 8. That's gonna bring you to the DOJ main hub, and then you're just gonna use the blue tab to go over to precedents and case law. All right. Precedents and case law are gonna be things that DOJ have decided in court, and decided that based on that decision, all court cases will be ran the same afterwards. The biggest things that you guys need to worry about as LEOs are your criminal precedents. There's a lot of law enforcement stuff in there that pertains to you, such as CRIM 005, which is going to be a person can only be identified by another as long as 2 forms of ID provided, which is ID of the suspect in the suspect vehicle, ID and license plate, or 2 witness testimonies with body cam. Next one below that, 006, a person cannot be identified by their voice unless they have a name above their heads already. Another good one would be 002. If a LEO K9
Microphone
barks at a
activated.
person, this is probable cause for an officer to search the person. If K9 barks at a house, it's probable cause for a search warrant.
So for 006, it says redacted.
Same for 002.
Yeah, I think that's just I guess that's their way of saying the judge or the date when that actually happened
User
is
joined
no
your channel.
longer
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Microphone
there.
muted.
Yeah. Or they just don't know when it was that it was enacted, or the judge that enacted it. Because the
User joined your channel.
only other ones that I've seen that are actually it doesn't appear that anything redacted as far as the date or the judge actually affects whether or not that precedent is still in place. I mean, as you can see, if you scroll around a little bit, there's some red ones that are no longer in place and struck out. So I don't really know why they use redacted
Microphone
like
activated.
Gotcha. Sorry.
that. You're good.
Microphone muted.
So yeah, criminal precedents are ones that you guys should be fairly familiar with. Another good one is 019, all the way at the bottom. If a suspect gets 3 or more charges of contempt of court during an arraignment or case, it will enter summary judgment. It's a good thing to keep in mind if you have unruly suspects. Just, let them keep being unruly in court, and the judge will end up taking care of it themselves. Twitter cannot be used as evidence to prove beyond reasonable doubt. Darknet cannot be used as sole evidence to obtain search warrant or arrest warrants. Additional evidence must be supplied to prove probable cause. And then if you scroll all the way to the right, there is one precedent under warrants and subpoenas. And it is if evidence of a warrant is GoPro footage, you're required to provide video from when you were first at a property up to leaving a property. So that is mostly going to be for search warrants, which you guys could stumble across a property and, get evidence to put in for a search warrant, but a lot of time that's going to be more of a DTU kind of thing. But it's just something to keep in the back of your mind, because there is always a chance you could stumble across a property and find something. Any questions about precedents?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Next one is going to be bail bonds, which kind of talked about a couple minutes ago, very, very little bit. It's just a policy that allows suspected individual to pay a sum of money to DOJ in return for their freedom. If said individual pays bond, he or she will receive a court date and is expected to attend. Court date will only be set by a district judge or higher and will not be argued. Other than that, I don't think we really have any other policies as far as bail bonds go. It's mostly handled by DOJ now. All right. Talk a little bit about the courtroom. During a court case, a judge will guide the officer through the trial. Trial will occur in the following order. You will start off with your opening statements, so you will talk about why you're there today, and exactly what you aim to prove throughout your court case. Then you'll go into back and forth discussions of evidence, including witnesses. Typically, the prosecution will go first. Prosecution will show their evidence and will give a statement on the evidence, and then the defense will have a chance to talk about the evidence. And then you'll just keep going back and forth like that throughout each piece of evidence. If you have witnesses, prosecution will have a chance to ask questions of the witness, and then it'll go back to the defense to ask questions of the witness. And then once they're done with the witness will be dismissed.
User joined your channel.
After you're done examining all your evidence and questioning and cross-examining witnesses, then you'll go into your closing statements, and this will just be where you reaffirm why your suspect, whoever it is you're prosecuting, is guilty, reaffirm the evidence that you've shown, and the reason that a guilty plea should be found for that suspect. During the trial, prosecution can utilize objections. I'm not FIBA certified. I haven't read through all that stuff.
CGSD?
Send it.
Could one of you respond to the steel mill call? I'm currently saving a downed Jayhawk.
At this time, we only have 2 cadets that were on foot, so we're not gonna be able to respond to that call.
Alright, 10-4. CG off there.
What was the call? I know
there's
one of you
a-
still on duty.
There's a
User joined your channel.
Jason?
Yeah.
Did you see what that
Microphone
911
activated.
call was?
there's a shooting. There's an individual that got shot,
Yeah.
and the individual that shot him is at the steel mill.
Gotcha.
And CG just asked if you could respond.
I'm here
Yeah, I
at Steel
heard
Mill.
that.
I shot someone. Oh, oh wait, well, hold on.
Yeah,
I'm
that's what
here
I'm
at
saying.
Steel Mill. I shot someone.
Yeah.
Okay. May we respond to that, or since he is
we'll
giving
go.
himself
We'll go
free
respond to that.
Yeah.
Wait,
see
is
what's
the
up.
training over?
Shotgun.
No, the train's not over. We're gonna resume it.
Oh, but
Shotgun. Haha, get wrecked.
Someone go tell Coast Guard where to enter.
Since I'm actually the one on duty,
SDCG.
with
Send it.
advise, we'll be en route up to that steel mill call.
We're also en route, but we're in a Marine unit, so it'll be a couple.
10-4.
Hey, pull into the courtroom, so
As
Let
CG
him
said
do a
they're
sign on
responding
duty.
now.
No.
They're just in a Marine unit.
yeah, well, we're going as well. Just to have a little break from the training, we go as well.
You know what? Actually, one of you drive, and then I will continue reading.
Yeah, sure.
don't die. Go crash.
I will die and crash.
All right.
Ooh, I like-
As officers, we must always think several steps ahead. We must prepare evidence, charges against the suspect to be organized. Must be able to provide all this
User joined
information
your
at the
channel.
request of the Department of Justice within a moment's notice. This includes, but is not limited to, testifying before the court, remaining silent during proceedings, never argue with the judge. During a court proceeding, all deputies must listen to all lawful commands of the presiding judge. Really, this is all going to come down
User
to
joined your channel.
Just making sure y'all didn't have a missing bars and then y'all are alright. Alright.
All right. This is going to come down to the more time that you spend in court, the more practice you get, the better you're going to get at it. Judge will help you through it. They're not just
User in your
going to
channel
throw
timed
you to the
out.
wayside and just step all over you. If you have a question, just ask them. They'll answer it for you. Time served guidelines. It's the officer's job to tell the judge how long the defendant's been locked up, remanded into custody before the trial. During an arraignment, if a defendant has spent more than 30
User
minutes in
left your
custody
channel.
before coming to court, then the prosecution must inform the judge about the amount of time spent in police custody after the initial 30 minutes. For example, if a suspect was awaiting arraignment for 45 minutes, then the prosecution must inform the judge that 15 minutes can be removed from the defendant's final prison sentence. Generally, I start a timer for whenever I take a suspect into custody, and I'll tell DOJ the entire amount of time that they've been in my custody. And then I just let DOJ make the decision of whether or not they want to take time off their sentence or not. We'll continue this after we get over here at Steel Mill.
It's weird driving this vehicle. I'm not used to pickups.
Excuses.
I mean, it's still going good though. Don't worry. Meow. Meep meep. Oh, kidding.
Ooh, that's an interesting. Bro,
This is the only Coast Guard.
Oh, they're the ones that fucking arrested me. The little bastards.
God, you yelled in my ear,
Cunts, mate.
scared the
Hello.
crap out
Oh,
of me.
Jesus Christ, it's a gaggle fuck of brown people in khaki
Oh my
pants.
fucking god, shut
Fuck.
up.
With how many people can you fit in?
Hello,
In it,
Stephen.
Jesus
Yes.
Christ.
Holy
You
fuck!
had a call
fuck
here
me.
that someone shot someone.
Oh, who's
What? I
shooting,
don't know about
boys?
that. I only saw
User
people
joined your
earlier.
user left your
They
channel.
were looking around.
User
but,
left your
Is
channel.
then
this
they left.
really the response that you have? Christ,
We've
I'm
literally
So,
only
I
been
don't
here
know.
5
I didn't
minutes.
hear any shots. No.
See, someone could be going and committing a crime somewhere far, far away, and every single fucker
Well,
is here.
when somebody puts in a 9-1, I just shot someone at Steel Mill. Yeah.
Yeah.
Furthermore, we were trying to do a training and got an ambulance. So
I mean, to be fair, what
Yeah.
was that?
Fuck me.
And we were out
This,
in the
this
middle
is
of the ocean.
great. It's like a good crowd.
You done what you want.
Nice.
Yeah.
But
Pleasure seeing you all. Whoever
Someone was
shot,
there.
you got away with it.
You
You've
look
done
no,
a real
we're
good
coming
job
back
of
in
it.
the car in a second. We got the call.
I've just realised what you're wearing. You look like a twat. You literally look.
Right, come on, Sasha, let's go and rob a shop. Let's go.
You're removing that first.
because,
Come on, Sasha, let's go
You're
and rob a
removing
shop.
that first.
Come on, buddy. We
I'm
need to go
going
and
to
do
hit.
some
I will
robbery.
hit you with a dildo I haven't got.
Is that
Oh,
contraband?
good. Now you get it back.
Why would that be
come on, Val.
contraband?
Come on, we need to go and commit
Yeah,
some
well, I
crime.
had to
save Dennis from
Yeah, go to the gun
Oh.
shop.
watery grave.
Oh.
Yes.
George Green daar, die heeft zojuist
Remember, keep to the
eerder
speed limits.
een...
I have 5 things going through at once. What was it?
hij heeft eerder, tenminste eerder, een paar minuten geleden, een robbery gedaan bij Silverton. En hij is dezelfde descriptie en ik weet toevallig wel dat George Green is.
Ik heb net van dat voertuig een license plate foto.
Gewoon een keer, nee.
Oké.
Just green again.
Dus ik ga hem straks even runnen.
Ja, en hij heeft ook een vuurarm dus.
User joined your channel.
Laat me weten als...
En
User left your channel.
ik hoor de schoten weer.
User joined your channel.
Ja, Just green is helemaal wild aan het gaan, man.
Was it me or was that a shot 2 times?
Yeah, we're all good.
No,
We're
yeah,
just having
there's
a bad
two
vehicle
shots
day.
up
You know what I
there
mean?
somewhere.
It was probably those guys that just left.
Josh Green.
the guys
You too.
hitman. That's the thing.
Hey, actually, I got the license plate of the white car. Maybe one of you wants to run it.
And I got the name of the person.
It's Josh. He killed me.
User joined your channel.
Armed robbery. Armed robbery.
Okay,
Blue
that's
Hawk.
false.
False. It's false.
It's
Lubbock.
false because you and me,
User
we got it at
left
the same
channel.
time.
We know.
User joined your channel.
is. That's the criminal who killed me right there. That's him.
User left your channel.
Man, okay. What the hell?
She killed you. How did you
SD.
know?
Because he didn't double tap me.
Ooh,
You
cool.
bleed
That's
out.
awkward. Don't you hate it when you botch an execution?
Yeah.
I know, right?
So
Hey, there ain't
gonna-
space apparently.
Well, I got a license plate.
Try a different
Okay.
door.
You want to go after him then or?
I'll go past him.
It's the dog. The dog's taking up the seat, man.
you can't leave the dog behind.
No,
Drag
hold
it
on,
in now.
hold on.
Wait, don't tell me you're gonna.
Drag
leave
it in
the dog
now.
behind.
So that dog can be
I'm
sitting on
just in the
somebody's lap.
passenger
That's all I'm
seat.
saying.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna leave the dog behind.
User
No,
joined
we're
your
not
channel.
going to leave the dog behind.
Okay.
Get back in.
Oh wait, what?
Oh, this is gonna be good.
User left your channel. User joined
Oh,
your
the
channel.
dog's yep. He's on his lap.
What the dog doing?
What the
Excuse me,
dog
sir.
doing?
Excuse me, sir. That's bestiality.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Hey,
I don't
sir,
know
we
what
gotta,
you're
we
talking
gotta
about,
do
sir.
what we gotta do here, alright?
Yep.
So
All in one vehicle. Amazing.
So actually, question about that situation. He said that was the one who shot him while he didn't get double tapped, stuff like that. Are we allowed to go proceed on that as well, or?
We could go question the guy.
But unless that person who said he shot me has video of him shooting me.
Yeah, we could go question the guy. I actually kind of question the validity of that guy's statement just because I know who it is.
User left your channel.
And
But
I
yeah,
know.
we could have went and stopped and questioned him, but as far as if that guy was shot at, then that
User
would be
joined your channel.
attempted murder charge, and that's not something that you can use a witness.
User left your channel.
Just a witness for. You have to have some additional evidence.
User joined your channel. User left your channel.
All right. Does everyone know where to go to fill out a warrant in
Yeah.
the DOJ section?
Yes.
All right. So filling out warrants is going to be like trial requests.
User joined your
It's going to
channel.
have a nice little form. It's going to ask you what kind of warrant you're looking for, whether it's an arrest or a search warrant. Those are the only two warrants that we can request. There is a third type of warrant, which is a bench warrant that comes straight from a judge. When a judge signs a bench warrant and puts it out there for us to go hunt people for, it already has their charges, time, and fine are already set on it. If you pick someone up for a bench warrant, they can't argue the time, fine, or charges. It's already set in stone. They go directly to jail. They don't get to plead innocent or guilty. They get the time, fine, and the charges, and they get put in jail.
Actually, I have a question about jailing people because 2 days ago I had to arrest someone, and we put them in the jail at the training grounds. But there is a DOC.
Yes. So generally, the only time people will go into the substation cells is if their time is 20 minutes or less, because the marshals won't deal with anybody that's 20 minutes or less, or if there's no marshals awake at all.
Okay. Got it. Because the guy got 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Yo, Harry,
How may I help you?
you tell me you motherfuckers been riding around the whole time and didn't even try to come pick us up?
No, we ain't been riding around the whole time. I got told that there was a shooting at Steel Mill, so I went on duty and went to go down there.
And you didn't bother to try to pick up me and Marshall?
You put out on Shetty McCall.
Look, Paul, your hairline's already missing. If you were to stand up in the back of the truck, the rest of you would blow away, alright?
I'm down with you. Leave me alone.
Where are we going now?
We're not going anywhere. I'm parking this right here. We're not going to go all the way back up there.
Pew.
Alright. So, warrants. Everybody still here?
Yeah.
Hello.
I don't know if I get your keys, but I'll just unlock the truck so you can get up. Alright, you need probable cause for a warrant, as we went over in the probable cause section.
User left your channel.
After a judge approves the warrants, no more edits can
User
be
joined your
made to the
channel.
warrant request, so you need to make sure that for arrest warrants, the charges that you want to be in there are there before the judge approves it, because it can't be changed afterwards. And if it's a search warrant, you want to make sure that all the details in there for the property that you're going to be searching and what you're looking for and the charges that you believe you're going to be applying or charging the person with after the warrant is served are all in there, because those details cannot be changed. The only thing that can be changed is if the suspect ends up changing his name after the warrant's approved. You can let the judge know, and the judge will adjust the name on the warrant. But other than that, nothing else changes. If you are serving a warrant or know that you're going to go serve a warrant, marshals should be called for any type of warrant. That's their bread and butter. Of course, if it's something like someone has an active arrest warrant and you pull them over and get them while you're on a traffic stop,
User
that's
joined your
different.
channel.
But a lot of the times if we're going to go serve search warrants, then it'll be a team of marshals and deputies going to do it.
User left your channel.
When an officer is arresting someone with a warrant, then it should be like any
User
other
joined your
arrest.
channel.
However, someone has already picked the charges and the evidence the officer needs are all within the warrant. So if you pick someone up for an arrest warrant, you can't change the charges on them. You have to go off of what the warrant is. Only the officer who made the warrant request can drop charges after the warrant is approved. The only way to drop charges for a warrant is the officer who made the request to reply to the warrant post that they have dropped charges. After a deputy serves the warrant, they will need to put the charges into the police database and reply to the warrant post that it has been served. All types of warrants, arrest, search, and bench warrants must be sent through the government website to the defendant in a private message once they've been carried out. Any questions about warrants?
No.
You also have to send it via TS as soon as you pick them up, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
Justin, I'm glad you're alive, but I don't want to hear your heavy breathing.
Oh, sugar me tits. My mic should be.
Microphone muted.
All right. Bench warrants. Like I said, if a suspect has a bench warrant, they should give the suspect the time and fine ordered by the court and put them in jail. Suspects don't get a chance to plead innocent or guilty with bench warrants. After the deputy serves the warrant, they need to put the charges into the police database and reply that the warrant has been served. All right. For search warrants, it's going to be the same form under DOJ district court warrants. You're just going to change it from arrest to a search warrant. According to the Warrant Enforcement Act, officers need reasonable belief for search warrants. Reasonable belief is in between reasonable suspicion and probable cause.
User in your channel
Judges
timed out.
approve search warrants, and after a judge approves search warrants, no more edits can be made, as the same with arrest warrants. When conducting a search, LEOs may only search the places and people listed on the search warrant and may only search for sought-after evidence. For example, officers won't check a suspect's box if they're looking for a stolen couch.
User joined your channel.
Sorry. Where was I? The offender must be notified and handed a copy prior to the search being conducted. All items must be cataloged, and the offender must be notified of what items have been seized. Offender must remain present at the location of search until search is completed unless the offender was not originally present. If the offender is not present at the location prior to the search, then all reasonable efforts must be made to notify them prior. If within a reasonable period the offender is not present, the search may continue. I don't know if I said for arrest and bench warrants, those last for 30 days, 30 or 31 days, basically a month. Search warrants only last for 2 weeks, 14 days. After completing the search warrant, the officer must reply that the warrant has been served. Marshals should always be called up for any type of warrant. So
User joined your
there
channel.
are exceptions for a search warrant. Exigent circumstances are cases where an exemption applies under the Warrant Enforcement Act. Law enforcement and authorized officers may enter a property without a warrant for the following reasons: to prevent domestic violence or imminent threat to life if not entered; investigate traffic offense such as breath/drug test, or when the traffic offense was committed outside the property and the suspect entered the property in an attempt to evasion. Take custody of an escaped inmate or a person evading arrest or detainment. I'm going to skip over this one for just a second because I'm going to make that the last one. Shut down an out-of-control event, party, or to identify a person who's committed offense in relation to an out-of-control party. Now, this last one, you have to be very, very careful with, because if you cannot 100%
User
prove
in your
this in
channel
court,
timed out.
then you will absolutely get screwed over by the court. You get sued, and it'll just be a bad day for everybody involved. But The last exception is to search for evidence if they reasonably suspect there is evidence that may otherwise be hidden or destroyed in the period of time it would take to get a warrant. Let me turn this off real quick. So, that's a tricky one. Like I said, you really need to be able to prove that, prove your
User
argument in
joined your
court
channel.
or to a judge if it would come to it that you believe that the evidence would be moved or destroyed in the amount of time it would take to get a search warrant signed off on. I have not been in this case yet, and my best piece of advice to you is that if you feel like that this may be the case, and that this exemption may apply to a piece of property that you're sitting on or watching, call DTU, call a member of DTU if they're available. Get them to come over and look at the situation and look at all the facts and go from there. Don't make, unless you're absolutely certain, don't make that call by yourself. Because then if you make the call by yourself and it's wrong, then everything that you do from that point on is all going to be thrown out of court, and you're going to piss a lot of people off.
Microphone activated.
But I really need to piss, so I'll be right back.
Go for it. We've only got
Microphone
2
muted.
sections after this.
Example of that one
User
would be
left
like,
your channel.
let's say someone's just robbed a house and an officer gets a list of items he stole. Sorry, if he robs a shop and the officer obviously interviews the guy.
Go the hell on.
And like say he runs into his house and then back out and back into his original vehicle, and you can't find the stuff anywhere.
User left your channel.
Would that be like a case of you couldn't search his house because you have reasonable suspicion that he stored that item in his house?
So if it's someone that okay, so basically what I'm understanding that you're asking is you caught someone that robbed a store.
Yep.
And they don't have the items on them.
Yep. But you saw them enter and leave their house and jump back into that original vehicle they were using.
I would say, yeah, I would say yes on that one. But then you're going to come into the fact of you're looking for those items in particular, and a judge would probably throw out anything else that you find in there, or would say that you wouldn't be able to use anything else you find in there.
Yeah.
User left your channel. User joined your channel. User left your channel. User joined your channel.
Oh.
What was that, Jason?
Huh?
You said something, didn't you?
No, I said I only made a sound.
Alright. Hey Barry.
Yes.
You know how the second GoPro check is 30 minutes of day 2. can it just be 30 minutes of any section of day 2, and
Mhm.
not the full hour we've been sat here?
User
Uh,
joined
there
your
is
No,
channel.
just 30 minutes.
Okay,
There
good.
is a armed gunman at Steel Mill with a black vest and a class 3.
Well, I guess that's a good thing. This is Coast Guard jurisdiction.
Nope.
User left your channel.
I'm turning on the radio. If they call us, then we know.
Hypothetically, I wonder who that is.
Who?
I wonder who has a class 3 at Steel Mill.
I don't know.
Microphone
I
activated.
think Rob.
Hypothetically, maybe.
What did I miss?
A
I know
lot.
there's someone with a class 3 at Steel
What
Mill
were-
or some shit.
What were we doing again? I forgot it.
We're just waiting on to move
Just
on to the
waiting
next
on,
section.
yeah,
Oh.
whoever it
Yeah.
was that had to go to the bathroom, either Justin or Johnny.
I'm back.
All right, everybody still here?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So,
User left your channel.
general laws. This will be link 10 under your day 2. I'm not going to read through this. You guys need to read through this on your own time because some of these general laws are going to be on your final evaluation. It's just all the general crap around the island. Most of it's all common sense, but just take some time to read through it on your own time. The last few links are going to be the traffic ticket appeal template, statute of limitations, traffic ticket appeal. The only time I've ever seen this used was by Nick Brown, because for some reason he wanted to argue his traffic tickets, which I don't believe he won. But if you're giving a ticket to someone for a traffic offense and they don't want to pay it and they want to appeal it, then you have to go submit that appeal form. It's basically like a trial request. You do the same kind of things, give the same kind of information, what the ticket is for whoever it is that you had pulled over, evidence, so on and so forth. Judge will look it over and decide whether or not that the ticket was valid or invalid. And if it's valid, then the person has to come back and pay the ticket. Statute of limitations, that's the amount of time that you have to be able to pursue or charge someone for specific crimes. Just read that over and make sure you're familiar with it. All of the links that we've gone over today will not, every single one of them won't be on your final evaluation, but read over them, have them bookmarked. That way you have them close by to be able to reference them if you have any questions about how to handle a particular incident or definitions, charges, so on and so forth. Does anyone have any questions about any of anything that we've looked at today?
Nah.
Going once, going twice.
Wait, what?
Does anyone have any questions about anything from today?
Oh, no.
Nope.
All right. Third time's the charm, and you are all dismissed.
You're dismissed.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh, hey, so I'm having a little bit of an issue with lovers. I can't buy one because apparently I still own one at Finn's, but
You can't buy what?
a locker.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
you'll have to sell you one of them.
Yeah, you just have to go
IF
there and sell it.
locker.
Okay, I'll have to check Finn's again. What the?
Hold on. Paul, leave him alone.
You little slut.
Leave
Well,
him
no.
alone.
You better. I'm doing something. You tase me, I'm going to jail and getting fired.
User left your channel.
You dirty
I
scum.
can't fit your fucking forehead in my cell.
Code red, code red.
All right. So who all is staying on? Everybody staying on?
Yeah, I'm still on.
I gotta work tomorrow, so I'm going.
Yeah, I gotta do it.
Okay, you're going. Justin, you're going.
Yeah, I'll be back in a bit though.
Okay, so we should, whoever's left should all fit in the truck then.
Get your weak asses in.
Well, good
Give me
night.
just a
Thank you for
second.
day 2.
Make sure you guys.
I'll get all of y'all's training documentation
Yeah, that's probably
filled
a good
out
idea.
here momentarily.
Make
so-
sure you guys upload your GoPros.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of uploading it now.
Yeah.
I do have to request. I just upload it just in case.
After what?
Good luck, guys.
They said they,
Paul is
uh,
very
Free fucking
angry today.
second GoPro check.
Just go ahead and do it.